everyone, welcome back to Let's Get Real with Michelle. Thank you so much for joining me. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. I came across an article over the weekend and it really got me thinking, so I'll just pop the article on the screen for you to have a look at. So the question really is, would you give your 6-year-old a debit card? I mean, as you know, we're probably moving into a cashless society, or that's the intention anyway. And I thought, goodness, if we had to start giving children debit cards, who would feel confident enough to do it? I mean, obviously a child can't go in a shop and spend on a debit card without an adult present, but it just really got my mind. If you've watched any of my videos before, you might be aware by now that I used to be a specialist money advice caseworker. And this means that I've seen people go through a lot of financial difficulty. I have helped a lot of people to navigate the insolvency process, so people who want to go bankrupt, people who want to get IVAs, debt relief orders, people who are being repossessed, who are being evicted. Guys, I've seen a lot of things. And something that really struck me is I feel like there are 3 types of people who get themselves into debt. So number 1, there are people who just don't care and they're not really bothered and they will just buy whatever they want to. Number 2, there are people who have good jobs, know how to handle money, but unfortunately some circumstance changes in their life and life happens to them and they find themselves in debt. A lot of people are 1 paycheck away from being homeless. It's really sad, but it's true. And the 3rd type of people that I noticed who get themselves in financial difficulties are the type of people who would say to me quite frequently, I just never understood money. Nobody ever explained anything to me about money. They ended up moving out, usually on average about the age of 18, and then they realize, hang on a second, bills have to be paid, I don't know what needs to go first or what needs to happen, and this is how I realized that lots of people get themselves into trouble. Now, the purpose of this video is to address the last set of people, the people who don't know anything about money, especially growing up, who were never taught about money, just to try and see if there's a way that we can actually start making this something that we should be teaching our children from an earlier age. I suppose with this knowledge in mind, I started to notice that my daughter was asking for things more and more, as children do. It's quite normal. I decided maybe it is a good opportunity to actually teach her something here about money. So I used to try to explain to her that, there are lots of bills that have to be paid. We have to pay for the house and we have to pay for food. We have to pay for the clothes we wear. And once all of these have been paid for, then whatever is left is what we will then have to actually buy whatever things that we might want, as opposed to need. But she never really understood this. She's 6 years old and I absolutely get that. So my husband and I decided this is a really good opportunity for us to instill something in her from a very young age. So we decided that we were going to start giving her pocket money. So this is almost to simulate when she grows up and, if she starts working or running her own business, when she starts getting an income, then she would be able to have an understanding of what to do with that money. It wouldn't be completely new to her. So we told her we were going to start giving her £4 a week pocket money at the age of 5, which she was very excited about. But then we told her she's not going to be able to just spend the £4 per week on anything she wanted. She's going to have to split this into 4 categories. Now we're going to actually go on to what these accounts are. The accounts may not necessarily be, they don't have to be physical bank accounts, so some of these are and some of these aren't. The first account we're going to be looking at is long-term savings. So the long-term savings, 60% of the £4, which equates to £1.80, goes into these savings, okay? So this is for anything that she wants to buy, but it costs a little bit more. So in a 6-year-old's world, that might be something like £20 or £30, something that's going to take a while for her to save to buy. So what she can do with her long-term savings is, if she wants something that's £20, £30, we say to her, you've got to save up for it. So it's going to take her X amount of weeks. So that way, if she has competing things that she wants, so she has 2 things that she actually really wants, she's going to make a decision which one she wants the most, knowing that she's going to have to save a really long time for them. That's what I have to do when I want something. If there is an item that I want that I haven't budgeted for, I know I've got to wait a few weeks or a few months for me to have it. It's the same principle. Hopefully hopefully she takes that through life with her. So when she gets to the age of 18, 20, 25, she starts earning a wage and there is something she really wants. She just doesn't think, oh, I'm not going to pay my rent today. I'm not going to pay my rent this month. I'm just going to go buy those shoes. Hopefully she'll be able to learn that that's not how it works. So that's the first account, is the long-term savings. The second account she has is a play account. So 20% of her £4 a week goes into her play account. And this equates to 80 pence a week. So guys, this is what I'm telling you. It doesn't have to be big money. It's just the skills that's been acquired by the process. So with the 80 pence a week, she can spend it weekly if she wants. She can save it up. She can do whatever she wants with it. It's absolutely her choice. And this means that if we were standing in a queue, in a shopping queue somewhere, as they do, they normally have all these little bits where they want children to start nagging their parents to buy. If she says, Mummy, I want this, that's absolutely fine. She has her play money. She can purchase it as long as it's within that amount that she has. Okay, so that's the second account. The third account that she has is a charity account. So giving is really important to us. I don't believe that giving has to be a religious thing. I think giving should just be a human thing, but that's my personal preference. And so what we do is we have 20% of her £4, which is once again also 80 pence, goes into a little purse. So what we do is whenever we're out, and she has a heart for the homeless, so if she sees a homeless person, she might say, oh, let's ask them if they want anything, you know, if we can go in the shop and get them a drink or food or whatever. And that's what we do with her charity account. Now, it doesn't have to be a charity account. If you have something you are passionate about, it could be animals, it could be anything, you could then set that money towards it for them. Once again, like I said, you don't have to use the figures that we're using, but you know, any amount of money. It's not the money itself, once again, that's important. It's the process. It's building something into them. The fourth account that we have is her education fund. So when we say education, we're not talking about schoolwork. I'm actually making reference to personal development. I think this is so important. So the education fund is, at the moment, as she's only 6, is for her to actually buy books. So I really believe in the power of reading. I really believe in the fact that if you want to learn anything, absolutely anything, you can purchase a book that's been written by someone who has 50 years experience, 40 years experience, and you can get that from reading a book. There's nothing else in the world that is like reading a book. I also read a statistic somewhere where it said something like 90% of millionaires read on average about half an hour a day. I mean, you know, I'm not saying that's why they're millionaires, but clearly there is something that they're getting from reading, and I want a bit of it too. As a matter of fact, if you've ever read the book Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, you might actually identify these accounts that I'm making reference to. I follow that myself, and in the book he makes reference to the 5 wheels on the bus. So if you haven't read the book, I would highly recommend it. I personally have 7 accounts myself, and that is all because I've read this book, and that's where this idea actually came from. The final account we have is an investment account. So we have opened a junior ISA for her. She's not old enough to manage this herself, so we do it on her behalf, but we also have her input. Now, what we have done is we have a budget, and we know how much we can afford to put away for our children every month. So we put a certain amount into the junior ISA every month, and the idea here is that the money we're putting away will grow over the next however many years that we intend to leave it in there for. So these sort of accounts, I would suggest, are better for longer term investments. Your money could double, could triple, could quadruple. It depends on how much you've put in there. But the idea with the investment account is that over a number of years, so maybe 15 years, 20, 25 years, however long we need to be investing for, if we continue to contribute money into this account, by the time we are ready to get the money out, hopefully there'll be a nice chunk of money that we can then say, here you are, you can put this as a deposit towards a house. We could be looking at maybe a first car. You know, it can be for anything that you want your child to have. I mean, this really just struck me because you have the power to change your child's future. I watched a YouTube video of a guy showing a calculator, which I will link below. It's a compound interest calculator, and he was talking about the fact that we have the power to make our children millionaires. So I mean, it really depends if your pockets are deep enough. I mean, you would have to be paying something like £1,000 over the next 28 years with an interest of 7% annually to get £1 million. But you could make your child a millionaire if you can afford to do that. On the flip side, it doesn't have to be big money. If you can only afford something like £20 per month, you could be putting £20 per month away for the next 20 years, and after 20 years you could have £10,000. Now if you actually saved £20 per month for the next 20 years, it's never going to be £10,000. So this is why we decided that an investment account is an absolute must for her, and hoping that, you know, we can actually make a positive impact in her future. So I would also urge you to consider an investment account for your children if this is something that you haven't done already. I just really want to finish off by saying, you know, don't go by the figures that I've said in this video. You could try whatever you think you can afford to try. It's more important for the children to cultivate that habit as opposed to think about the amount that's being used. I know it might sound silly, but believe me, it makes such a huge difference. At 6 years old, my daughter has, I would say, quite a good understanding of money compared to other 6-year-olds. Once again, this is not to bash what parents are doing at all, but it's just to sort of let us know or make people aware that the decisions that we are making today for our children really will impact them in the future. So you do not have to try, you know, the method that I've just described. But what I would say is to be more conscious when you talk about money with your children. So if you're a person who talks about money negatively all the time, that is what you are teaching your child about money. So if you are constantly saying, I don't have money, or we can't afford this, they're going to grow up believing that is the norm and that it is okay not to have money. So I just wanted to sort of share that with you guys, and hopefully it's something that you got value from.